Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday afternoon to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this afternoon. Certainly have had yourselves a great day and a fantastic weekend as it comes to an end. I got you a pretty big update this evening discussing that pattern change that we kind of been talking about the potential of happening over the last several videos. Even made a video earlier last week talking about that potential in detail, but even then it was just a potential. Now this is forecast to happen. We can really get detailed with this and really discuss, one, how cool is it going to get? Two, is there a frost or freeze potential for some folks? And I really think there is. Is there going to be any rain associated with this cold front? So we'll break all this down in great detail, and we'll continue to figure it out as it gets closer to us. But this is definitely going to happen. This is going to be our coolest weather that we've seen of the fall season. And for a lot of folks, it is definitely going to be an abrupt shift from summer weather to fall weather. And I think for a lot of people, this will be the front that really just fully breaks the back of summer. It seems like we already kind of done that in portions of the eastern U.S. As I can speak here locally here in the Carolinas. It has not really been hot over the last 2 or 3 weeks, to be honest. It's been very dry and around average. But for a lot of folks, like right now, they're baking out there for October 1st standards across the middle of the country. So we'll talk about what's driving the pattern right now, because that will lead to some severe weather over the next couple of days. And we'll discuss that right at the beginning of the video. So if you're not interested in that, definitely just skip ahead. But we do need to discuss the severe weather potential Monday into Tuesday. And we're not going to get super detailed on it, but we'll break it down for you folks in this video. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put those in the comments below. Things have kind of slowed down, so it's a great time to just put anything you want in the comments. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a prayer request. If you just need somebody to talk to, reach out to me on Facebook or Twitter. I might not be able to get back to you immediately, but a lot of people are lonely out there, just need somebody to talk to. I'm here for you folks. And if it's an unspoken prayer request, put it in the comments. Listen, not only do I pray over these, but I'm telling you, other people do too. It's a family type atmosphere on this channel, and all you gotta do is stick around for a little period of time, and you will figure that out very quickly. So with that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. So let's talk about what's going on out there right now. I've had to start this video over multiple times, just struggling. So hopefully the flow is good. And hopefully I can explain this in a way where you guys definitely can understand. So we got a trough over the western U.S. You can see it digging down right here. And with it, you got a flow associated with this jet that's also digging down across the western U.S. So this flow digs down with it, comes down here off the base. Might have drew that line a little bit too far south, and then it goes like this. So this entire feature right here will move basically from the west to the east. And as it does, on the east side of this flow, where it's going from the south to the north, you get a moist return. You get a flow aloft, meaning you got winds aloft. This creates forcing for showers and storms. So you're likely going to have a chance of strong to severe storms across this region over the next couple days. So this is something we need to watch. And then eventually this trough will fully eject across the northern portion of the country, and then it will be replaced by another trough that will dig out of Canada. So right now the pattern pretty much looks like this. You got a trough over the west, ridge builds all the way up into Canada, and then it trough digs back down towards this region right here with a low pressure off the coast of the northeast. So high pressure dominating the middle of the country, not just the middle of the country, but all the way up to the Great Lakes region. That's why if you walk outside across the middle of the country, it is well above average. And you've been dealing with that over the last several days, and we'll continue to deal with it over the next couple days. But trust me, if you're a cool weather fan, glory is coming. An abrupt shift is coming. So moving past this, we will talk about that flow aloft, and we can look at the 500 millibar wind stream out here. This is basically winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Some people call this the middle layers of the atmosphere. And you can see the flow rounding the base of this upper trough right here. And if we can keep this moving, and it is, we're good to go. So we're moving here. You see this belt of flow aloft. You got winds 60 to 70 knots aloft. In this entire region, you see these wind barbs are the flags are pointing out the south. That means winds are moving out the south in this region. That means you got a moist return. Moist air is basically riding up the Rockies, up the high plains. So you mix that thermodynamic of a moist air. You got a little bit of cape. You add a little bit of cape into that. And then you got that flow aloft with this belt of 50 to 60, 65 knots aloft of winds. And this creates forcing. So what I'm trying to say is, in this area in purple you see, there's going to be a chance of showers and storms. And some of these could be strong to severe. And this is getting into tomorrow afternoon. And then we continue to move. This will move for me, and it will. And then we get into Tuesday. And this threat could shift more so into the plains, as this trough sort of broadens and then eventually weakens and then kind of goes into Canada. Okay, so we need to watch Tuesday in this area, and then we move away from it, and then here comes another trough digging out of Canada, and this will fully move in, and there it is. This digs across the eastern U.S., and this has an associated very strong cold front with it, with dry, cool air behind it. But speaking of that severe weather risk, this is for tomorrow. This is basically right over the high plains, from the Dakotas all the way to the southern high plains of western Texas and eastern New Mexico. You got a huge marginal risk that goes basically from Mexico all the way to the U.S.-Canadian border. And then you got a slight risk down here in New Mexico and areas of extreme western Texas. This is for tomorrow. Tornado threat. We'll see if this increases, just a 2% risk as of now, but you got the damaging wind threat at 15% chance. This basically is a 15% chance of winds pushing 50 knots or higher. And then you got the hail threat. You got a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. And then you got a severe weather risk for tomorrow. Now, you're lacking thermodynamics up here, but down here you are not. So there's a pretty strong, strung out slight risk already up for the south central U.S. So we'll talk about that in better detail as it gets closer. But let's talk about this trough that's coming. So the blue is low pressure. The orange or red colors is high pressure. So without getting super nerdy with you guys with the weather, just think of what you see on the screen. And the orange is above average temperatures and the blue is below average temperatures. And typically in the blue, you have some kind of storm system, low pressure, which is associated with the blue. So this trough continues to scoot eastward, and we already talked about this. This fully gets into Canada, and then it re-amplifies, and another trough begins to dig down, and here it comes. Below average temperatures is a cold front associated with this trough digging down, this trough of low pressure, and this thing digs big time across the eastern U.S., brings very chilly temperatures. I think it's going to be a chilly weekend this coming weekend, and basically you get a reversal. You go from a trough out west to a trough in the east and a ridge out west. And this is a beautiful look in the winter if you're a big time winter weather fan and you live in the eastern U.S. or even the southeast. So digging trough, is there going to be some kind of storm system associated with this? I think there could be, especially for the northeast. As this thing goes negatively tilted, I'm thinking you're going to get some kind of storm system in the northeast. You're going to get rain in areas where you do not need rain. So this is getting into Saturday, into Sunday, and then it moves on out. So seeing all this blue that you just saw on the screen over the central and eastern U.S., what does that mean? Well, in the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook that just got issued today, below average temperatures expected in the shorter term. So basically between now and October 6th, you're going to get below average temperatures also in the middle of the country. This is just the outlook from the 7th through the 11th of October. Below average temperatures in Texas, the southern U.S. and all the eastern U.S. coming up with confidence, the highest right over the Alps, the southern Alps and central Alps region, and the Ohio River Valley. So below average temperatures coming. Pumpkin spice latte cold front is coming. So a great way to look at this, I love looking at this, is dew points. So I can tell you, even with this high pressure built and these warmer than average temperatures built all the way up into Canada, the air isn't super humid unless you're confined to the immediate Gulf Coast or South Texas, things like that. But you keep on moving forward. All right, we're going to take it all the way to Tuesday afternoon. You see, these are dew points. Okay, this symbolizes the moisture content in the atmosphere. Is it dry or is it moist or is it kind of in between? So out west, we got drier dew points. Okay, it's drier air. Out west, dew points in the 50s is still pretty dry. It's definitely not super humid. Dew points, getting into the 60s and 70s is definitely more humid air. Okay, you keep this going forward here. Basically what I'm trying to show you is most of the moisture in the atmosphere is over the central and eastern U.S. But watch as this, I wouldn't call it bone dry air, but this very dry air associated with this cold front and behind it swooshes out all this moist air, and any kind of moist air that's over the central and eastern U.S. is immediately replacing. And here it comes. If this can get in motion for me, cold front is moving in now. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see where this cold front is, right? Along this front and just south and east of it, you're going to have a big time moist return because winds are coming out the south in general, bringing in this warm, moist Gulf air. So up along this boundary of this cold front, you got that moist air and probably some sort of moisture. So we're getting into Thursday morning of this week. Then we're getting into Friday morning, okay, October the 6th. And look at this. Already the atmosphere is completely different across the middle of the country. All right, this cold front begins to move through Dallas, through areas of the Mid-South, the Midwest, and then we're waking up. We're getting into our Friday evening. You stop it here. It feels totally different in like Nashville, Tennessee, Friday evening compared to what it felt like Friday morning. All right, and then this front completely sweeps the entire eastern seaboard by the time we're getting into a Saturday evening. And it's saying dew points are going to be in the 30s to 20s in the southeast. I think that's a little overdone. But one of the most interesting things with this out of all of it is this is going to be the first real cold front of Florida. Now, will this make it all the way to Miami? It's going to be tough, but we're going to get dew points well into the 50s, pretty far south into the peninsula of Florida, okay? So, I mean, look at this. Look at all this dry air. Start to get a bit more of a moisture return. But, man, this dew points is always the best way to see where a cold front boundary is. This totally swooshes out the atmosphere. This allows for dry air, which allows for radiational cooling, which allows for cooler nights. I mean, you're going to need a jacket, even for areas of the South, I think, by the time we get to this time next weekend, honestly. So what does this mean as far as temperatures? Well, we'll kind of work through this quick, and then we'll actually show you projected low temperatures from the blend of all models, which I think is a great thing to look at as far as model guidance. So here it comes. These are temperatures, not dew points. Okay, we're getting into Wednesday morning. We're getting into Wednesday afternoon, and then here it comes. All right, so we'll look at the high temperatures for Thursday afternoon across the middle of the country. 70s, look at this. The GFS says you're only going to get up into the 40s and 50s up here in areas of Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP, and the Dakotas. Okay, then look at this. Okay, we're getting into Friday morning. Look at these chilly temperatures. All right, you're starting to see some 30s. You're starting to see some frost coming up, and then you get into your Saturday morning. The GFS is wanting you to get to sub-freezing. Look at this frost dipping down into Missouri, low 40s all the way down into northern areas of Arkansas, and very chilly conditions across the Midwest. This will really, really run a risk for your first frost and freeze. I definitely think if you're away from any urban areas, you're out in the country, which is a lot of areas out here in the Midwest, you're definitely going to see a risk of that first frost and freeze. Okay, and then you start to get into Sunday morning, and then most of the cooler air begins to shift into the eastern U.S. So speaking of the eastern U.S., pretty warm week. Okay, not too bad for the immediate eastern U.S., but here it goes, the 90s riding up the Mississippi Valley for our Tuesday. All right, we're getting into our Wednesday morning. The cold front begins to get on the move across the middle of the country. All right, we'll take it into our Thursday morning. Look, I mean, you only got low temperatures into the mid to upper 60s in the Boot Hill, Missouri. But if you go to the northern part of the state, low temperatures well into the 50s. And here comes that cold front. Here it comes. We're getting into Friday morning. Cold front begins to sweep across areas of the Ohio Valley, of the Midwest. It's fully taken over the Midwest, the Great Lakes region. All right, and then we get into our Saturday morning, and here it comes. All right, you're starting to see some low 40s. Definitely think we're going to get some frost and freeze in the southern Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee. Okay, but it's really Sunday morning here that I think, look at this. This is how chilly the temperatures are showing for the GFS Sunday morning. All right, starting to get below freezing. Asheville, 35 degrees, 40s across some of the towns and cities in the deep south. You're getting into the 30s. Okay, frost in the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee, well into the 30s in Kentucky, 30s West Virginia. This is going to pack a punch. Nothing too crazy. It's not life-threatening or anything like that, but it's going to be an abrupt shift. Okay, and then these are just high temperatures potentially. And I said it's not a potential anymore. What I'm talking about, we're going to have to fine-tune some of these projected low temperatures and high temperatures, but in general, it's definitely going to be substantially cooler than what we've seen. Okay, but look at these high temperatures Sunday. This could be a chilly rain potentially for the Northeast. Okay, so let's talk about the blend of all models for projected low temperatures. This is low temperatures, guys, for a Monday morning. This is so above average up here for the northern part of the country. Okay, we're getting a Tuesday morning, still well above average. These are low temperatures. Okay, then we get into Wednesday morning. Look at the cold front. Here it comes. Thursday morning. Okay, Friday morning, and then Saturday morning. Look at all this frost and freeze potential across the northern plains, the Midwest, the Great Lakes region. I think many areas will see their first sub 40 degree temperatures. That's when you start to run the risk of frost. I think many areas will see their first sub 32 degree readings, and then the colder temperatures as we're getting into Sunday morning more so shifts to the eastern U.S. It's pretty wild, abrupt shift. I think this is going to break the back of a summer. Now, is it going to warm up again in areas? Absolutely, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to get as warm as what we've seen anymore, but I could be totally wrong. For our folks out here, for low temperatures out in the eastern U.S., it's going to remain nice in the eastern U.S. I mean, 50. I'll take the upper 50s for low temperatures in early October until the cows come home here in Columbia, South Carolina. I've seen a lot worse, but we've got a nice return flow that's keeping our temperatures cooler regardless of the cold front. But we're starting to get into Thursday, we're getting into Friday, and then we're getting into Saturday. The cold front is making its way across the eastern U.S., the deep south, and then we get into our Sunday, and then we get into our Monday. Okay, chilly temperatures. All right, I think we might even sneak in some upper 30s even outside the mountainous regions, especially some of these plateaus in Tennessee. Watch out northeast Alabama, but definitely chilly conditions on the way. Okay, and then it starts to moderate a little bit. High temperatures, this is really going to show it. 80s all the way up into Minnesota, the Dakotas. Tuesday, you start to see a difference. Wednesday, it's like you drop 10 degrees for your high temperature each day for a few day period. And then you start to get into Thursday. These are high temperatures, okay? Only in the upper 70s and Little Rock, down to Dallas. And then we start to get into Friday. Look at these high temperatures up here for the northern part of the country, and you just get back to fall-like temperatures here. I think the chillier conditions will actually be a little bit further east, but you get into Saturday, a beautiful weekend is looking likely. It starts to warm back up, but it's going to be a chilly, any of those Big Ten football games up here in the Great Lakes region and just the Ohio Valley, it's going to be a chilly day. You're definitely going to need a coat for sure. You start to move into the eastern U.S., these are high temperatures for tomorrow, potential high temperatures for Tuesday. Not too bad. Then you get into Wednesday, still hanging on to that summer-type temperatures for deer life across the southern Mississippi Valley. And then here it comes, Thursday, much nicer conditions. By the time you get into Friday, 70s for Nashville, for Huntsville, low 80s with a ton of low humidity moving in. Just nice conditions. And then you're getting into Saturday, and beautiful air mass moves in. Chilly conditions across the Ohio River Valley. And then this is our Sunday. I mean, you might struggle to get out the low 70s for a lot of these deep south cities. Struggle to get out the 60s, maybe for Raleigh, Richmond, Roanoke. And just really fall-like conditions. And look at these not chillier, but look at these cooler conditions in North Florida. Jacksonville to Tallahassee might only hit 80 degrees with lower humidity, and Monday might be even chillier for certain areas. So beautiful fall-like air mass on the way, and you love to see it for sure. What about rain associated with this? I think most of this front is going to be dry for the eastern U.S., well, for the southeast and the deep south, unfortunately. But as we're getting into Wednesday evening, I want to watch some showers and storms that have the potential to be there for Oklahoma and the south central U.S. This could create a heavy rain event. We need to watch this. We need this rain to get into Louisiana and Mississippi. I think East Texas could get some rain as we're getting to Thursday afternoon. I think there'll be some rain associated with the immediate cold front slashing through areas in the Mississippi Valley, the Midwest, the Great Lakes region. I think some of this will weaken away, and then as this trough of low pressure might take on a neutral or negative tilt, I think you could have some kind of low pressure develop. And this, unfortunately, is going to bring the potential for a rainy Saturday for the Northeast. I'm watching this. There's a lot we need to figure out about this. But unfortunately for our folks in the Southeast, this cold front is going to, I'm not saying it's going to be rain-free, but there's definitely not going to be much rain associated with this. I was looking at my weather channel. I'm sorry, my weather station on my roof. I didn't realize we haven't even seen rain here in Columbia since September 17th. Luckily, that day we picked up, I think, 2.5 inches of rain, but we haven't seen rain since. So it's even getting dry in my neck of the woods. But it's going to be hard to figure out. Are we going to see rain associated with this or not? We got a lot to figure out with that. But I think that this front could deliver a good bit of rain for Texas, Oklahoma, maybe areas of Arkansas, maybe even Louisiana. But unfortunately, if we move to the eastern U.S., which shows the deep south, the further east you work, the more the rainfall potential cuts off. But areas of western Mississippi could receive a little bit of rain. We need to figure this one out. But man, my state in South Carolina, oof, this is between now and basically the morning of October 10th. Not expecting much. We're starting to get very dry in our neck of the woods over here too, but nothing compared to Mississippi and Louisiana and you folks. But I hope that helps out. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow morning. You guys have a great night and God bless.